Sometimes in life we just suffer. Sometimes it's from being totally withdrawn, or so much stress that we are totally anxious, or so tired that we are totally burnt out. But our current position is not our final destination. No, indeed. There's hope. So whether it's your personal life, your career, your relationship, your business, or your job, we say there's reason to believe again. And we present from Andy's personal development, the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned for more. Hey, and welcome live to the breakout room. This is your host, Andy of Andy's Personal Development, and we thank you so much for joining us as we present another amazing episode of how to achieve health, happiness, and prosperity. And this episode is no different as we continue to build and grow and develop as a community, as a people. And we help you to achieve these things by giving you intentionality, clarity, and purpose about life. This episode is entitled Healing the Inner Child, Transforming Wounds into Wisdom with Alicia Farricielli. And I will give you some information about our guest as she awaits eagerly to be introduced. So let me tell you a bit about Alicia. She's a life certified coach, an inner child specialist, and a spiritual mentor. And she now guides individuals through their own healing process. Her approach, she says, integrates healing with practical business strategies, helping clients overcome emotional barriers, build self-worth, and achieve their full potential. Here's an important fact about our guest. She says her spiritual mentorship journey came from overcoming the difficult childhood to become a transformational coach filled with profound personal experiences and deep insights. I love that. So, enough about my chatter. Without further ado, let's welcome our guest live in the breakout room, Alicia Farricielli. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. We appreciate you, and we thank you so much for spending this time with us. So, Alicia, tell us in your own words, when people hear your name, what do you want them to associate your name with? What is the one thing that you want them to have a thought process of or come to mind when they hear the name Alicia Farricielli?
I want you to be the person who brings so much change to the world that it just leaves such a lasting impression. I know a lot of people say that, but I truly, truly desire that and know that that's what my purpose is here for. I want to be a healer for the world.
Wow, that's powerful. We thank you for sharing. I look at your information and it fascinates me that you are one of the persons that I would label as an overcomer, someone who has shown resilience. You had so much challenges in your childhood from different areas, different aspects of life. How far back can you go and recall for us the thing that defines your experience that has caused the foundation for which you are now helping people to overcome some of the things that you went through as a child?
Yeah. So taking you back a little bit to my childhood, I was born into a family. My dad was a extremely conservative preacher of the Christian faith. And there's nothing. I'm not dissing Christian faith, so we'll put that out there. But he was very hellfire damnation, a lot of fear base that was put inside of me. I was basically born into. I think it actually happened probably more in my mother's wound. There's a lot of science going on behind like mother wounds.
Yeah.
So I believe that was born into this. And so from the time I was a baby until the time, I mean, I was just a very timid child, had a very shy child, had a very fear of messing up, had a fear of doing something wrong, because that was put inside me. If I did something wrong, it was like I was going to go straight to hell. Um, so that really influenced my entire childhood, adolescence, and a lot of my early adulthood too. It's just this, I was just a very fearful person. But I was also put a lot of rebellion into me as I went through my teenage years and probably some early adulthood too. It's just a rebellion. It wasn't really a rebellion against my parents, it was a rebellion against their belief system, a rebellion against the box that I was placed into. So again, I mean, I feel there's a lot of emotional abuse went on through, particularly my father. A lot of, I call spiritual abuse, because that's pretty much what it is. It was
Mhm.
created,
Yeah.
just this abuse, like this. I was just a whole. I can explain. Like I'd have these little things that were just like ticks and things that like I was just always nervous. Like I never felt calm. I can't believe I was probably my 40s before the first time I really felt calm and peace within myself. And so I've
Wow.
got for 40 years of just, true calm and peace. I mean, there's times I had joy, happiness, but never that true calm and peace, joy that's inside of me now. Just wasn't existent there because I didn't know how to get to that point.
Wow. Amazing. And how did you arrive at the process of beginning the inner healing from all that trauma? I mean, it must have been a tremendous challenge for you. And I
Yeah.
can hear the passion still in your voice. But can you reflect on that point when you recognize, hey, I need to overcome this? I need to be so much more better than that trauma had me thinking or believing that I was. What was that moment like for you, Alicia? Share with us.
Yeah. So as I'm going kind of so growing up, I always felt like whatever my parents said was it. That was the truth. And so I was very almost, I would say gullible, but it just was taught to me again, the deep like wound coming from birth is like you always, whatever your parents say, that's always right.
Yeah.
And so it took some flips and switches on that to when you get a little bit older, probably closer in your mid 20s, 30s, you realize, wow, my parents were like human and they were not perfect. And just because
Yeah.
they said something doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it
Right.
right. And
Mm-hmm.
so after I got that at the age of 29, I ended up getting a divorce, and my father disowned me for the, I guess, first or second time. Literally just like disowned me. Didn't exist anymore. And so after that was kind of a point where I was like, you know what? I really want to start developing this some type of faith and spirituality inside of me. So I started going from their denomination to another one and to a non-denomination. And so as I kind of started healing, that was a healing process for me. And so as I got older, as I started opening my mind up to, again, just because somebody says said something doesn't make it true. And
Right.
that sat through me. So that started to open up my consciousness a little bit more until I was
Mm-hmm.
able to come to my complete my truths. I say my truths. I'm very open to whatever. There's not a black and white theory behind there as I grew up in. But as I started to do that, I started to see myself through repeating I was unhappy. I mean, I had all these good things around me, and so I was very materialistic. Things would make me happy, but not joyful.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so a new car would make me happy, or a new house would make me happy, and this would make me happy. And I'm like, that lasts maybe 6 months, and then it's like, what's the next thing? So I found
Hmm.
myself in jobs, particularly sales, that was based like that. It's like you hit your quota. You don't get to celebrate it, but more for a minute because you got the next thing coming. So I had that almost that doctrinization of sales in me that kind of started. I was like, this is just wasn't happy. So I left the corporate world, opened up multiple businesses. I would say they were successful by terms. They weren't like multi-million dollar businesses, but they were profitable. And I hit a point to where I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Hmm.
I sat in
Yeah.
the floor of my I sat in my floor and I was like, God, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you either take my life, like, tell me how to take my life, or you got to change something to me because I can't.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
emotionally eaten up inside. I was crying. It was more than like a depression that you could, like, it was just something inside of me that was like, I am not authentic with, like, nothing is lining up to who I truly am, I didn't have any self-worth inside of me. Didn't think I was worthy of anything. no
Yeah.
matter what happened. Like the self-worth just wasn't there. So after that, little things started to open. It's kind of like when you ask for something in the universe, you better be ready for it. Because it came, like it started coming. I was like, so I started seeing my life in a little bit different lights, and started seeing new opportunities. Started seeing the gratitude. I mean, I had a loving, loved kids. I had, I did have family members like that were extremely loving. I had a loving, he was my boyfriend's my husband at the time. He's my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time, a very loving, and we had a lot of clashing going on. But I had so much love and around me, and so many good things around me. I just didn't see it. So I start to see that. Started to develop a more of a gratitude heart. And so throughout that process, once you start that healing process, you're like, and things start to work out. You start to see that this is real actually working. You get almost, I'm not gonna say addicted to it, but you get excited about it. And so I started doing all this work, and just I was in switched from event planning to real estate for about 5 years. Still doing real estate now, but I made that like the end goal. But I was still on that hustle train of trying to prove myself. I'm like, why am I trying to prove myself? Why do I still not feel self-worth within me? There's something that's missing. And so I started coaching, working with clients on a business level. But they didn't even have, the thing was they didn't have the mindset. So we had to
Mm.
take steps back. So I'm like, this is what I need to be working on, is helping people with the mindset that they can do this work. But at the same time, I needed to do some work on myself too, because I was
Yeah.
3 steps ahead of them, but I had to save 3 or 4, that's the whole thing about coaching. It was like, people think like all coaches have everything. No, they don't. They're just a few steps ahead of you. And as
Yeah.
long as they're a few steps ahead of you and they're continuing to do the work to stay by ahead of you, I mean, like they're doing extra work. So part of my job is to actually do inner work on myself. So when I started doing that, I was like, there's something that's missing. And so it's funny again, you're like, what is missing? Universe, there, God, send it down. There's term inner child came in. So inner child, I was like, oh, this sounds fascinating. Inner child work, do some shadow work. I was like, let's go into that. So I started doing, I did started doing stuff on my own, and realized that's what it was. My little Alicia inside of me was like, this is not healed. It was still acting out because I was still repeating some same patterns of self-worth and didn't feel, both, a lot of it was almost 90% tied to self-worth, which is
Mm.
tied to my inner child. So I
Yeah.
started working with her and I started healing her. And I can say today that we are on a great relationship because you have your inner child is there regardless of whatever. She's not going away. She's
Yeah.
always there. You can't just
Yeah.
erase that. So we started connecting, we started becoming friends, and I started reparenting her. And I started being able to parent that I could be, that I needed at the time for her.
Mm.
And that's when things
Yeah.
just started just like opening up, and it was like the aha moment happened. So that's what I work with clients now, is through that aha, to get that aha moment with their inner child.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Several things stood out to me when you were speaking, but the one thing that resonated with me the most, Alicia, is you said that people think that coaches have got it all made, they have got it all together, but they don't. And that's a fact. Here's the thing, we may be just about one or two or three steps ahead of the person that we are dealing with as a client or confidant. But the thing about it is that we have to keep doing the work.
Yes.
And we have to commit ourselves with some level of discipline every day to dig deeper,
Yeah.
because we can't take people to places that we have not been.
Yeah.
It is not going to resonate with them. It's not going to be empowerment for them. And I get that from you and I understand that process. So it's not just about the institutional aspect of teaching them or leading them or guiding them, but it's about having that embodied experience that you can now share with them. And
Yes.
you know that it's for real because you've been there, you've done that. So, with a deep level of conviction, you're saying to them, I have done this. I
Mhm.
know what you're feeling. I know where you
I
are.
do. Yeah.
Let's walk together. Let me take your hand and I can lead you and guide you. Ultimately, the choice is yours, but at least I can show you the direction that I think you need to go in. How do you think about that? How do you feel about that? Yeah, I get it. Thank you so much for sharing. How much of your experience now, as you speak about the mother, the parent, and the daughter, that combination of relieving that childhood trauma, how much of that do you see now playing out with the clients that you now serve? Because I remember you saying the aha moment.
Yeah.
How special is it for you to be able to bridge the gap between where they are and where they need to be based on your personal experience?
Yeah. So when I take my clients through is things that have worked for me, but also they may not be specifically for me, but they've worked from other people or other clients.
Right,
So I keep it
right.
very open because my experiences are not all. It's funny. The clients that come to me, we have a lot of the same similarities, but we have different paths and different stories and different things that have caught like their wounds and their traumas are different than mine specifically. However, you can take every 99% of their their situations, the things that they're butting up against, the things that they can't seem to overcome, goes back into the inner child. And so
Mm,
it's just I mean it's simple process. I say a simple process. It's not simple because it's a lot of hard work to
yeah,
get into
yeah.
it. So I don't be like, oh, it's easy. And like tomorrow you'll be going to be completely healed from it. No, this could be a lot. It's actually a lifelong journey because your inner child
Yes.
again doesn't go away. You
Yeah.
just learn to parent it. It's like you have this constant 3-year-old, 4 or 5-year-old with you at all times. And they're going to act out. There's things that are going to trigger those. But once you recognize the triggers and you recognize what's going on, you can know how to address that with your inner child and make it feel loved and safe and secure. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of the route that I take with that. But yeah, I think that when you hire a coach, your coach doesn't have to have the exact same experience that you've had, but they need to have a deep level of understanding of what it feels like to be in that situation. And that's where I
Mm,
think there's a lot of people doing things that they don't have that they can't understand, be empathetic towards it because they don't really understand it. And
yeah,
so they need to understand it. And a lot of that goes back understanding the inner child
yeah,
and their patterns and things that they do to act out to get attention. And yeah,
yeah. Fascinating. Thank you for clearing up that, Alicia. That is so real. And the other thing that stood out to me when you spoke was gratitude.
mhm,
So let's look at this.
yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Want to jump on here and talk a little bit about a podcast that I think it was about maybe a year ago. I think it was Mel Robbins that posted the difference between thankfulness and gratitude. So thankfulness is something that we experience. Someone opens the door for us, or we get a good parking spot. It's little things that happen throughout the day that are great, but they're not really meaningful to us. Gratitude, though, on the other hand, is something that stays inside of us that we remember. It's something that brings upon a feeling of, makes you feel worthy of something, makes you feel happy, excited inside yourself. That's really gratitude. So post below what you feel gratitude is. What are you really grateful for on this Thanksgiving day? Of course, we want to be thankful, but let's start to be grateful. Really, the things that just take you by surprise. That's gratitude. Happy Thanksgiving. You played so funny. Sorry, you played that. I was like, oh, to my phone. I love that.
I do too. I do too, Alicia, and I appreciate it. I want you to re emphasize the difference between being thankful and having a heart of gratitude. How important is that for folks to understand the difference?
Yeah. So let's take food, for example. You can be extremely grateful for your food,
Yeah,
or you can be thankful for your food. Most of the
right,
times, we're thankful for our food because our stomachs, we're trying to satisfy a need. So we're thankful we don't have the hunger that comes along with it. But we're not
right.
grateful for the actual nutrients and the way that the foods
Ah,
are putting into our bodies and what it's
mm,
actually doing for us. That's such a feel. It's a different feeling. So we want to be thankful. Thankful is an easy way to get to gratitude, but your gratitude is what are the things that just have completely make you just be like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that this happened. Like I can't believe my body, I can't believe this food is actually nourishing my body and creating muscles inside of me, making my bones grow, making the blood flow, making me be able to breathe and to be able to do all the things I want to do. That's a complete gratitude towards food. Being thankful, and don't get me wrong, most of the time I'm thankful for my food. Or then like really sitting into the gratitude of it. Thankful is like, I'm glad I have food on here so I don't have to suffer. I'm thankful
wow.
that, my husband brought me some food today. Instead of being like, I'm so have so much gratitude for the food he brought me because it just means he loves me. And it means that he
Mhm.
does all these things for me.
Yeah.
Whereas it's more on a how it benefits. I say it's more on how it benefits the overall world versus how it just benefits you. So
Yeah.
thankful is not really selfish, but it can be in a selfish way. And
Mm.
being selfish is not bad. I'm just saying that there's a difference in that. Gratitude is like the extended version of it, being thankful. The really when you
Yeah.
it's like stuck in your heart. Like we're really grateful. Imagine when if you were a parent and your child's born, you're like, I am so grateful for this little thing. I cannot like it's magical. You look at it and it's like, wow, this thing came out, was produced like it, came from me. Or if you adopted, like you probably have a huge gratitude towards, the parents that gave you that, you were able to that had the child to bring into this world for you. Think about that. Then we get kind of down into like, oh, I'm thankful for my kids because they do this and this. I mean, no, you're usually pretty grateful for your kids. It's a lot of times it's based upon, experience. And that's why when we go through journeys of healing, we want to get to that gratitude portion of it because that's what's going to keep us going. If we're getting to the thankful, it's almost like thankful is almost like subconsciously thinking, I'm thankful for this. But your gratitude is like you're consciously like making an effort to just express how much emotion behind it makes you feel.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love it.
Mel
I love
Robbins
it.
was the one that posted. I'm like, man, that she like really kind of flipped that switch. I'm like, that's really what gratitude is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have an exciting audience because they seem to be popping in and out. Folks, if you have a comment or a question for Alicia, just let us know. We'll be happy to respond. We love to know that we are communicating and connecting and resonating with you on the level of the information that we are so happy to share with you. And Alicia is bubbling with so much information. So, Alicia, I understand the term gratitude. I understand the term thankful. I am thankful every day just for being alive,
Yeah.
but I'm even more thankful to the point of being grateful that I was chosen to be on this planet.
Yes.
And for me, that's the thing that helps me realize I have a purpose. And I'm grateful for that purpose so that I can make somebody's day, even if it's just one simple act of kindness. And even if I could just touch one life per day, impact one life, makes a whole lot of difference. So, yeah, I get it. So, advice would you give someone who is struggling with inner self doubt
Mhm.
because of stuff that they had experienced as a child and they just can't seem to get out of neutral and into first gear? And everything about their personal and their professional life is all just muddled. How do you begin the process of helping them to come to terms with their reality and to enjoy now what must be some level of healing?
Yeah. So, as I don't mean this to sound very harsh, so nobody, please don't take it harsh for people. But we have to come out of a victim mentality. So if that is the person you described as in a victim mentality, I've
Right.
been there. Most people have been there. Most people are still in victim mentality because it's conditioned in our societies, globally, to be in a victim mentality. So we have to realize and recognize that just because something happened to us does not mean that has to be our entire story going forward. And so it's almost a process again of forgiveness. Forgiveness is absolutely not saying that what the other person did was okay, because it wasn't. It doesn't mean that you're saying that you have to continue to have a relationship or even acknowledge the person that you've forgiven them. There's many people in my life that I don't have acknowledged and told them that I've forgiven them. I just let it go. So you have to
Hmm.
almost untie yourself from that story and look at it from a perspective of, yes, what happened to me was if it was something horrific, whatever happened to me was bad. I acknowledge that and address that with my inner child. My child is, you have to acknowledge that with your child. You can't say, "Oh, it's fine. You're fine." No, because the child's not fine. So all you're doing is shoving that down. You're not bringing it to surface. So you have to
Yeah.
bring it up to the surface, and then you're gonna have to feel those. I'm sorry, you're gonna feel those feelings and feel those emotions, and it's very uneasy. But I promise you, it gets better. I absolutely promise you, once you feel those feelings and you heal from this, you're going to be in a much better state of mind. So, getting into that and really talking to that inner child and telling it, and then you have to make it feel safe and secure and say, what happened to you was wrong. What happened to you was incorrect. I'm really, really sorry that you went through that. And talk to it as a third person, because it's almost like a part of you. I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that you felt like that. It was not wrong. It was wrong. It was not right. However, I am here and we're going to help you through this. So imagine your child got enough. Let's say you have a 3-year-old got another kid slapped your 3-year-old. I'm just saying, as in you have a 3-year-old child. You're not going to say, well, you need to go back and slap the child back, typically, because it's another 3-year-old child. So you're going to look at the other 3-year-old child or the other child that hit the one that hit your child and say, you know what? Their parents probably didn't teach them any better. Or they're probably angry and they don't know how to express their emotions. They took it out on you, but it has nothing to do with you. So we have to start looking at our circumstances and what's happening to us had really nothing to do with us and was not our fault. So that could take away the guilt and the shame because it wasn't our fault. So yes, you're going to be still angry at the other person, and that's okay. Anger is not it's an emotion we need to process through. So don't get upset if you're feeling very angry about it. Process through that anger in a healthy way. So once you get to acknowledging that, so then we can look and say, well, we're going to go ahead and release and forgive the child that hit my other child. I know this is probably a long story. But we're going to forgive. I'm going to say we're going to call my inner child's little Alicia. Little Sam hit little Alicia. But little Sam probably had no idea that he wasn't supposed to do that. Or he didn't know he was doing that out of frustration because maybe his parents were beating him or something horrible was happening. We don't know what's going on. So we can look at that little other situation as, this is a very minor situation, but that is minor, and compassion. We're looking at little Sam as compassion. That's much easier to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that we're going to run out and hang out with little Sam again? Absolutely not. Because little Sam hit us. Why would we? That's why we have trigger. That's, but whenever something happens in our future and looking at, say, somebody threatens to, looks at you the wrong way. You think that triggers you the same way that little Sam did. You can go back to your child and be like, they're looking at me that way and I'm going to have compassion for them because they're probably like little Sam. So I'm just going to kind of let that go, almost like letting it go and forgiving situations. That's forgiveness. It doesn't mean that you owe anything to anyone else. You're basically just releasing that tie, because who wants to be tied to little Sam's hitting you when you're 3 years old? People are tied, things like that are stuck inside of us and all of us. Little minor things like that are causing these big, they're called them little wounds that are causing these big problems because they're stuck subconsciously inside of us. Wow. So we're going to forgive that and move on from it and let every single time something triggers us go back. Well, is this something that maybe somebody did that is my inner child's crawling out? Maybe something happened to me, my child. Then yes, we need to comfort and make sure little Alicia just needs to feel safe and secure, even though she got hit, even though these things happened to her. She just needed safety and security to know that she's unconditionally loved. Can we give that to ourselves? Yes, we are capable of doing that. And that's part of the healing process. And so when we start to heal this little portion of ourselves, it starts to connect to us. And that little portion, the little Alicia, is now a happy, joyful, playful, creative part that wants to play and dance and sing and be superwoman all the time. And I love that because that's the part I want to embrace in her. And I want to bring that back inside of, because we all have that inside of us. And that's really what connecting with your inner child is.
Oh, Alicia, that's so powerful. That's really powerful and deep. Wow. I want to switch gears a little bit now.
Yeah.
And I want to look at the Intuitive Revolution podcast. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's my podcast where I have guests on there, and then I speak a little bit of stuff about. But it talks about I want to guide people through learning to trust their intuition. That's how it started off. So I'll have people on there that are intuitive psychics to, I've had social workers to all kinds of people who are dealing with mental health on a holistic side. Point where we're not dissing stuff that's going on, but we're really getting deep into why we're acting the way that we act, why we function the way we act, and how to start that healing journey. There are all kinds of different modalities. So that's really what the Intuitive Revolution is about. Yeah.
Okay.
Just getting
Wonderful.
intuitive, spiritual knowledge out to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what kind of audience are you catering to right now?
Most of my audience are females. I do have some males
Hmm.
that do watch. They're probably in 30s to 55-year-olds of age range, but they're really people who are interested in
Oh,
bettering their lives and looking
okay.
to find looking for either a purpose or
Come
they're looking for
on.
new modalities. Learning new ways to heal.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. So, as you continue, when you have more success with that particular podcast, do you have, Alicia, clients that seem to possess some level of misconception when it comes to inner childhood transforming, like the feeling of dealing with the trauma and getting into a place where there's healing? Do you meet people who have these weird ideas, these mixed up moods, misconceptions totally, and you have to find a way to get them to understand even before you begin the process?
Yeah, most people come to me again because that victim mindset, and so that's the first thing we tackle is where are we becoming out of a victim? No more victimization, and that was the hardest lesson for me to learn,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
going through my childhood. Was like I'm not the victim of that anymore. I'm a victim because I'm choosing to be one, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
I don't want to be a victim anymore. So I literally
yeah.
will tell myself and going through. I'm like, I'm not a victim anymore. And so there are ways I work with the clients to come out of that victim mentality. I would say 99% of people that come, they have a victim mentality to me.
Mm,
And so we work through that. Even if you don't think you do, like most of them are like, I don't feel like a victim, but they say things and they do things that they're still in that victim mindset. And so we have to work on that, work on what's triggering that, get them aware of the triggers. And then we start with getting a little deeper into why they feel like these things happen to them. And then where do
yeah.
they want to go? We stay in the past a little bit, but just to be able to acknowledge and understand. But then we're moving forward. We're not staying in the past because that's victimization. We're getting again out of the victim mindset. We're into moving forward in our life.
Yeah. How do you integrate, if do you, any level of meditation or spirituality into the process? Is something that you work with your clients as well?
Yeah. So when I say I work with like on a spiritual level, is we connect to I work with people that have a religious background or they have just a spiritual or they don't have any. So we're
Okay.
connecting to the true self inside of you, like the divine
Yeah.
portions of yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people say spirituality, it's like it can get kind of woo because I do energy work behind that. And they do meditations. I teach all my clients how to meditate because that's the
Okay.
biggest game changer. And I'm actually
Yeah.
coming out with a new meditation course, a whole new meditation thing coming out the next
Okay.
month. So people can reach out; they're interested in that. But I want to teach people how to meditate because meditation has been the key component to the inner child healing and to any type of healing I've done. To everything has been tied into meditation. I've had ADHD. I had it. I still have it. I've
Mm,
had anxiety, depression through my life, and meditation has been what has got me out of majority of it. Today,
wow.
days when I come in, and I'm like, this morning, I was so stressed out. I was like, I feel so overwhelmed. And so, but I knew I needed to take that 45 minutes because I do 45 minutes. People can do 15, 20. When starting off, do 5 or 10 minutes, but 45 minutes of just sitting in meditative state. And I come out of that and I'm so clear on what I need to do for the day. I'm so clear on action items with the way I need to feel. And it's so life changing. Combining that with breath work and tapping, just regulating that nervous system. That's basically what we're doing and connecting you to your true divine self.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to keep that parasympathetic nervous system and the
Yes.
vagus nerve alive,
Yes.
kicking and moving, baby,
Yes.
helping us to keep safe and feel that sense of, oh, okay, it's all right. It's okay. It's all good. I love that. So I'm seeing a pair of eyes behind you.
Oh, my
Now,
owl.
yeah. Is that symbolic for you in any way, form, or fashion?
I love owls. I feel like this owl, for some reason, I was drawn to it. I tell everybody, found this. So my husband and I opened up a holistic health slash creative art studio about a year and a half ago. We closed it down since then because it was too much. It was like a lot of work that Anyway, long story. We closed it down because it was not a good fit. So for what we're doing. And I found this at a thrift store looking for artwork for the studio. And so this piece is one of the few that made it back. And the eyes just seem like just kind of get into your soul. But I feel like there's some kind of connection there to me and this owl for some odd reason. It sounds a little crazy, but I just, yeah, it's like almost like good omen for me. But I do
Okay.
love owls. I think they're very smart and brilliant beings.
Yeah.
Have a lot of spiritual meaning to it.
Yep. They're supposed to be some of the wisest birds that exist.
Yeah.
And I can see the connection. The eyes are supposed to be the mirrors to the
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alicia, that's deep. So let's have a look at this particular video. It says something.
And so that we do
Yeah.
need to pay attention to our thoughts, and we do need to catch ourselves as often as we can. And we do need to rewrite that and reframe that in a way that serves us and the way that we want our life to be and look and feel. Because everything, when you can bring this alignment into your life, everything feels easier.
You need to be your own best friend and own cheerleader. We never talk like 70% of our thoughts are negative. We never think 70% of thoughts negative about anyone else. Of course, we're always in our head about ourselves. But when you look at someone, you're not going to think 70% negative thoughts about them unless you absolutely despise them. But but we think that of ourselves when we talk that way to ourselves. We wouldn't tell that to our best friend. We wouldn't tell it to our spouse. I hope not, but but we tell things to ourselves and beat ourselves down so much that
Yes, we
Yeah.
do need to be our best friend, and we really can be our best friend or our own worst enemy in this process. And
Wow. Now, I, Alicia, I have seen this being propagated in so many different ways about being your best friend and understanding self-worth and self-value and self-appreciation. And I think the philosophy behind it is deep and meaningful and just plain human, because if I could really think about myself in the light of being my best friend and treat me as a best friend,
Yes.
then by extension I can do that with other people as well. How important is that in the process of the holistic healing that we expect people to have, and particularly from what you're doing now with your clients?
Yeah. So again, the thoughts and the words that we tell ourselves every day. So many people are walking around going, "I'm so stupid. I did that." Think about how many times you say
Uh,
that a day. It's just it becomes a habit. Or I
yeah,
can't believe I did that.
yeah,
Or and then we look at the mirror at ourselves and like, oh man, this wrinkle, I'm so ugly. And she's like, we start comparing ourselves internally and externally. And how are we going to love ourselves if we are continuously telling ourselves bad things? Would you want to be your friend?
right,
No,
right,
I wouldn't want to be the friend to the person that I was telling all this bad stuff to previously.
yeah.
So we want to look in the mirror and say, I'm an amazing person, because you are an amazing person. You're here. Your body's functioning. At least your heart is breathing. Your heart is beating and you're breathing. Even if that's nothing and your brain's functioning. Your brain is a fascinating thing. Think about it. Your brain is so fascinating and all your body is functioning. How can you be worthless? How can you be worthless? Because you can do so many things. And so we
Mm,
start to frame our mindset about how amazing. Just start with your body. You got, if you have 4 or 5 fingers or however many you have, think about it. If you have one finger, you don't have any fingers. Go with something else, another body part. Think about how awesome that is, that it gets to function and do the things, that your body's doing the things for you to keep you alive. And it's doing these things and we're not even thinking about it. So how are we when we're thinking about our thoughts? We're thinking other things. How many of those things are coming into our brains without us even realizing it? Like our heart beats all the time. We don't sit there in our mind saying heartbeat, 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 bump, 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 or breathe,
yeah,
breathe, 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 breathe. Those are doing breath
yeah.
work, but we don't think about that. But subconsciously, we're telling ourselves how we are, how we're supposed to behave. We're supposed to
Mm,
behave dumb because we're dumb. So
yeah,
the things that we're telling ourselves, we believe. So why can't we start believing different things about ourselves?
right. Yeah, definitely makes sense to me. I get it loud and clear. I get it. I get it. So With regards to the work that you're currently doing, what does the future look like for your business and the people that you really want to make a positive and endearing impact upon?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, I'm on a mission to teach people to meditate because I think when we start meditating, we start clearing our minds out. We start telling ourselves good things that come into our brains. We start absorbing good things. Our light shines. When our light shines, it starts to get brighter and brighter and brighter. Guess what happens when that happens? Other people start being
Mm.
attracted to you. The right
Uh-huh.
people start being attracted to you. You will repel some people and they're just not ready for it, but your light's going to attract. You're going to find those few people that are like, man, why? Think about it. Somebody walks into the room and they just have this aura, there's something about them. And you just get so attracted to them. You're like, man, I want what they have. And you go up and talk, you look at them and if you have you go up and talk to them. You're attracting, you're energetically magnetic. So we want to
Yeah.
magnetize this light out to the world to where we start to actually not even have to have conversations like this. This is a dream. Like, this is my dream. Not have to have conversations like this, not to put us out of business, but there's so many people that are actually just doing the work that they don't have,
Yes.
that you don't need to
Yeah.
have a handful of people telling people how to do the work. They just intuitively
Mhm.
know because they're listening, because that's intuitively who we are, is love and
Yes.
light. So we have to get back to that core. That's what I'm trying to create. And I'm trying to create that through different steps and processes in the healing process. One day I'm going to look on the stage and be on stage with Oprah. I already see it. Like, that's
Wow.
where I see
Okay.
it. That's where I'm
Okay.
putting it out there. I'm like, that's where I want to head, not to be on the stage at Oprah for ego, but just because to have that access to that many people to spread the
Mm.
love and light that
Yeah.
people already have
Yeah.
inside of them. We all have this
Yes.
inside of us. We just need to, light that match and let it start flaming and just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it can happen and it will happen. I mean, the
Mm.
world is opening up so much. We're on a huge awakening now that it's starting to happen. So, people listening out there, if that is you, keep lighting that match, keep
Right.
shining it out, and don't let
Yeah.
anybody dim that flame because we need you.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to keep the flame burning, right?
Got to keep it going.
Yeah. 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 Because there's so much negative stuff out there. And it brings me to a point of consideration of community. And when I say community, the environment that you grow up in, the people that you keep in your social cycle or your social circles, how important a role do they play in the process of someone who's seeking that level of healing from childhood trauma? Community, what role does it play?
It plays every single thing. And there's
Ah,
so many research and so much science behind. I'm saying, going back to science because I tied the woo and the science together because you have your spiritual woo people, then you have your science people. But there's so much
yeah.
science out there that say as the top, I think 5 people that you hang out with, you become.
Hmm.
It goes the
Ah,
same with what you're putting in your mind.
yeah.
If you are hanging out at the water coolers, it's called at work, and you're gossiping and you're talking and you're complaining all the time, or if you're around those people, even if you're not, their energy is bringing you down.
Mm,
It's diminishing
yeah.
that flame again. So
Yeah.
who you hang out with and who you're surrounded by, it determines whether you're going to succeed in life. And if you are comparing yourself to equal people who are doing the same thing you're doing, and you are comparing yourself to that, don't stop. Start
Yeah.
looking for mentors above you. By above you, I mean that have more knowledge. They're not better than you. They're not anything, they're not more worthy than you, but they have more knowledge that you're seeking, or they have a higher vibration that you're seeking. Seek those people out, find them, and match their vibration, match what they're doing, match down to business wise. I mean, I don't look at people who are doing the same thing I'm doing right now. I love them. I'm so glad they are, but they're my peers. They're people that are my friends. They're my, we'll bounce ideas off of, but I'm not looking to build my business just like theirs. I'm
Okay.
looking at people like Oprah or somebody like just saying out there that is like huge, because that's
Yeah.
where I want to head and where I want to go.
Get
So
it.
that's who I'm trying to match my vibrations with, trying to match my business style, everything with those people who have already succeeded in doing it. Because Oprah does not
Wow.
sitting there looking at me going, Alicia's,
Yeah.
I need like Alicia's not gonna. She's worthless. Oprah's up there cheering for me. She's cheering for you. She's cheering for everyone because she's figured it out. There's enough abundance in the world.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
hanging out with people who are constantly criticizing you or have scarcity mindset, they got to go. As much as they are, as close as you are, you got to limit your time with them and find those people that have a different vibration.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. So we have come to the end of this wonderful and amazing episode entitled Healing the Inner Child, Transforming Wombs into Wisdom with Alicia Farricielli. And now we'll give her the opportunity to share her hashtag information, social networking information. Tell them, Alicia, how they can make contact with you, which one is the most effective as we wrap up this episode at this time.
Yeah, so that's all my Instagram, YouTube, all the Facebook stuff. You can reach out to me on that. I will directly message you back. It'll be me that will respond to you. By Facebook, I'm sorry, my website's probably the best way. You can book a 60-minute free consultation with me, and we will talk about everything. I'll give you some tips. It's almost like a free coaching call. No obligation on that. You can book that 60-minute consultation on my website. And it's my first name, last name.com, aliciafarricielli.com.
Yeah. We're going to put that in the show notes when we release the episodes for you, Alicia. No problem. So you hear it, folks. A free 60-minute consultation talk with Alicia Farricielli with regards to whatever challenges you have, whatever you're going through along the line of her expertise. Just reach out to her. We've been so grateful for her presence and her information and her experience as we continue to build and develop and grow. So remember, folks, the three watchwords: health, happiness, and prosperity. Until next time, this is Andy of Andy's Personal Development together with Alicia Farricielli saying so long, Godspeed, God bless, Shalom, Namaste. Bye for now, guys. Stay safe, stay blessed.